What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our SEC channel. Going to give you my initial thoughts here on the Kentucky Wildcats for 2024, coming off of a decent season. They were 7-5 in the regular season, lost their bowl game, finished 7-6. They were actually tied for fourth in the SEC East. Had, I think, a three-way tie there in that division. Played a pretty easy non-conference schedule. Did beat Louisville late in the season, so that was probably, I guess, the bright spot of the season for this Kentucky team. And we look ahead to 2024. We'll start at quarterback. Devin Leary is gone. They're going to bring in Brock Vandagriff from Georgia. Maybe a bigger upside than Devin Leary, but just don't really know. He has no experience, so I don't know if they're going to be better or worse at quarterback. It's hard to say. I'm going to say that they should be at a similar level. Devin Leary was not exactly great for Kentucky last year. He was solid, but not great. They're going to miss Ray Davis, though, in running back. I mean, that's a huge loss. He was a special player. And you look at some of their other backs, they've got some decent running backs. They do bring in Chip Trayanum from Ohio State. And so the run game should be fine, but it's not going to be as good as it was because, again, Ray Davis is just a special player. You look at the wide receivers. It's mostly good news there. They will lose Tavion Robinson, who was really solid for them, but their top two receivers are going to be back. Dane Key will be back. Berrien Brown will be back. And Berrien Brown has a chance to have an All-American type season if he can get the stats, if they wind up throwing the football a little bit more effectively this season. They also added a few transfers at wide receiver as well. We'll see how those guys play out. But overall, wide receiver room pretty much the same besides the loss of Tavion Robinson. And then you look at the tight ends. They're in pretty good shape there. Jordan Dingle will be back. Josh Caddis will be back as well. They do lose Brendan Bates, but tight end position should be pretty solid. Oh, Isaiah Cummings also, he transferred out of there. But then you go to the offensive line. Had some big guys, some big names come back. Marquise Cox is coming back. Also, Eli Cox is coming back. So those are two of their better offensive linemen. Kenneth Horsey will be gone. That's really the big loss there. Jeremy Flax also going to be gone. But I think the offensive line should be pretty solid for this Kentucky team. No reason to expect them to drop off much, maybe a little bit. But yeah, looking at the offense overall, I think it's probably going to wind up being about the same. I'm going to say a little bit worse, not much, just because of the unproven quarterback and the loss of Ray Davis, some losses on the offensive line. I think they're going to be pretty similar, but maybe a little bit worse, maybe a higher upside with Brock Vandagriff. Like I said, it's just going to come down to how good he turns out to be. And we all the time, Kentucky fans will say, oh, he's going to be great. And then maybe other fans will say he's unproven. We don't know. We'll find out when we see him on the field in a real game. So it's a lot of unknown for Kentucky because of that quarterback position. Again, I'm going to say they'll be a little bit worse, but not much. I think they'll probably be very similar. Defensively, you look at that side of the ball, and they don't lose much. I tell you what, I was very surprised when I started going through their roster. They had one defensive lineman transfer, wasn't even really a big-time player for them. Everyone else on the defensive line, is coming back. So they are absolutely loaded up front, including Deion Walker, who is a special player there in the middle of that defensive line. So yes, they are in great shape on the defensive line. You look at the linebacker position, they do lose Tevin Wallace. That's a pretty big loss, but they bring in Dumas Johnson from Georgia. So they plug that hole there, and the linebacker group looks pretty good. I mean, very solid. No reason to expect any drop-off really at all at that position. So again, good news there on defense. Then you go to the secondary. Don't lose much there either. Andrew Phillips at corner, he's going to be gone. Jalen Geiger at safety, not even a starter. So they don't lose much in the secondary either. And I think they added, in the secondary, they added Christian Story from Alabama. And also, I forgot, going back to the offensive line, they did add Gerald Mincy, so that's going to help them out on that offensive line. That's why I really don't think their offensive line will have really any drop-off. I think they'll be fine there. But yeah, Christian Story at safety, talented player there from Alabama. And so, again, you look at this defense, they don't lose much. They have a chance to be really, really good on that side of the ball. I'm going to say for sure this Kentucky defense should be better in 2024. They haven't been as great the last couple of years on defense, kind of gotten away from being that really, really good Kentucky defense that we got used to. I think they have a chance to get back to that this year. I think they're going to be one of the top defenses in the SEC, and that side of the ball is solid. And really, it comes down to the offense. It comes down to Brock Vandagriff. How well will he play right away? Well, again, we'll just have to wait and see. But they have enough pieces to where they should be solid offensively. So with a much better defense, a defense that should be really, really good, an offense that should be similar, again, maybe a little worse, but maybe not. Maybe they wind up being even better. I think it's a no-brainer. This Kentucky team will be better. Now, will their record be better with a tougher schedule, with the new SEC? I can't say that they're going to be better than 7-5. I haven't really dug into their schedule yet. So this is really not about the record. It's just about the team. Will they be a better team? And I think they will be. I think Kentucky will be better. I think they will be in the top half of the SEC, an SEC that's going to be really good and really deep again in 2024. But do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Give me your early thoughts on Kentucky down in the comments below.